if you don't have a plan, you become a part of someone else's plan. That's something a mentor of mine told me a while back. And since then, my life and my productivity changed. I stopped being the kind of person who wakes up in the morning and switches on my phone to look at social media or to receive calls or to check my email. As if I don't have a plan and I'm looking for other people to give me something to do. And if you let that happen in your life, what happens is at the end of the year, which is not far, you'll find that the things that you set out to do at the beginning of this year, you've not been able to achieve them. And there's nothing worse than disappointing yourself. You'd rather disappoint somebody else, but not disappoint yourself. Because if you can't even keep a promise to yourself, who can you keep a promise to? You know, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. Like, consider that life is short, and we say this all the time, up until the point at which you realize that it just passed. 52 weeks in a year, that's 52 weekends. That's not much if you think about it. So every weekend, every day that you waste, that you cannot get back, it's just you racing to the grave without leaving anything behind that you can be proud of, right? And I don't want to sound grim, but I do want you to understand the weight of your time, the weight of not utilizing your time well. Because I see this a lot, you know. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, by the way. You know, there are times when I waste time, but then on the flip side of that is I'm also the most productive person that I know. Like, I really do get a lot of work done because I focus. I tend to get, like, when I focus on something, in fact, even now, one of the things that's making me a little anxious is that my phone is charging here and I hadn't put it on silent when I started filming. And I've just remembered that as I'm talking to you, because one of the things that I do is I like to focus on a task that I'm doing. I don't like to multitask. So when I'm doing one task, I'm doing that one task until I finish it. Phone, ringer, whatever, like off, away, not near me, so that I can focus on the one task that I'm doing. And I don't like to task switch, because we think it's multitasking. You know, when you think that you can have a conversation when you're typing that email, or listening to a lecture. For example, you're in class, you're listening to a lecture while you're scrolling Instagram. Like, you can't do both things. What your brain does is you end up switching. So you end up task switching instead of multitasking. So you're let's say listening to the lecture, you listen to the lecture for a second, then you see something on Instagram as you're scrolling and your attention switches, then you go back to the lecture, then you come back to your Insta. So you're constantly task switching, and what that does is it means that you're not doing either of them really well. You're not really gonna remember what the lecture was about. You're not going to remember what you saw, even if you think, oh wow, that was so interesting. If you're asked, or if you ask yourself 30 minutes later, like, what did you see when you were online 30 minutes ago? You can't even remember it, because you constantly kept task switching. And what that does, and studies have shown this, is that trying to multitask actually slows down your brain and makes you only 20% productive on the task that you're doing. So if you think that you're able to do your work while having a conversation with somebody else, typing that email while having a conversation, or trying to do two tasks at the same time. You've got a presentation, but you've also got this other thing that you're doing, and you're constantly, moving from this, and then there are notifications flying up and interrupting you as you're trying to get work done. You're only 20% productive in each of those. You'll make a lot of mistakes, which is unfortunate, because then that means you have to go back and redo the work. and it makes you slower. It actually makes you way slower. So while you're trying to do two things and you think that you're now able to do two things or three things or four things at the same time and you're really proud of yourself, you actually did them slower than if you focused on one, finished, pack it, focused on the other one, finish, pack it, focus on this one, finish, pack it. And you'll make less mistakes so you don't have to redo your work all the time. And another thing about multitasking or task switching, as is the reality, is that it makes you dumber. I know. It ain't me who said it. It's been written about. If you just Google dangers of multitasking, there are lots of YouTube videos, and I'll see if I can find some to put below this, and lots of blogs and articles, psychology articles that have been written about this, that it actually makes you dumber. It lowers your IQ. Like, that's how serious it is. And I know I started with the whole thing of making a plan, but they tend to be related. So that's why I've switched to this whole multitasking thing, because you find that most of the times when you don't start your day with a plan, with a solid plan of things that you need to do, and you start your day with other people's agendas, you tend to also try to make up for it by multitasking later when you realize, oh, I haven't done this. So now you're trying to do both tasks. So they tend to be like related. One invites the other and stuff. So I was on lowering your IQ by trying to multitask. So if it's that dangerous for even your brain, then really the question is, what are you trying to achieve if you're willing to sacrifice your mental capacity for this task that you then do twice? It then takes you twice as long to do, and you make a lot of mistakes, so you have to come back and do it, and you're only 20% as productive on the task. Like, it's just not worth your time. It's better to just focus on one thing, do that one thing. If it's important, turn off your notifications or whatever it is. Lock yourself in a room if you have to, where you have privacy and you don't have, interruption from other people. Like today, my cleaning lady is around, so I wanted her to have the rest of the house so that I'm not in her space. And because making this video is important, because I made a promise to myself that every day in September I'm going to film a video, then I had to find space to actually do it, a place that I can have privacy, good lighting, and film this, because it's important for me. And yeah, so that's the thing that I wanted to share with you today. One, start your day with a solid plan. Preferably write it down the day before. I do this. I have a whiteboard where I usually write down what it is that I want to get done, like my top 3 to 5 things. I try not to add more than 5 things, because then you find that you have like a to-do list, which is not what I want. I want a priority list. So I write it in order of priority. Number 1, most important thing. Number 2, most important thing, like that. And I start my day by completing at least number 1 before I even turn on my phone. If it means waking up earlier, I wake up earlier so that I can do it. Whatever it takes, that's what I get done. And sometimes I don't do that. Like there are days when I don't start my day with the whiteboard done. And those days tend to be very disorganized, because it's almost like I'm starting my day without a plan. And I've seen it myself, like it's just haphazard. So if you really want to have a productive day, the night before, the evening before, write down what it is that you need to achieve tomorrow, and avoid distractions until you get it done. And that thing that you've been procrastinating, that one that is like, task number 1, it's really important, but you've been procrastinating, I'll give you a trick that has really worked for me. What I do is I start on that task just a little bit. So if it's an article I'm supposed to write, I open and I write the headline. Just that. Just something small. Or I write the first line of it. Nothing that's gonna take me more than 10 minutes, usually like 5 minutes. I just start the task. Now, what I've found is sometimes when I start the task, I end up having so much psych that I now want to finish the task. So that's a hack that you can use. Like when you don't feel like doing it, just start a little bit. Because guess what? This is a fun fact and true. It takes more energy to start something than to finish it. Just like a rocket takes more fuel to start than to orbit the earth. It's the same thing with you. Starting is so hard. That's why we procrastinate, because you need so much energy to start the task, more than it takes to actually finish the task. If you need to tidy up your room, start the task. Decide you're going to pick up everything on the floor, only that. Or you're going to arrange your clothes, or you're going to put a few things in the laundry basket. Just that. By the time you're done with that, you'll have the desire for more. Now you can decide, do I want to do the more, or do I save it for later, for a time when it's in your schedule? But then you start that task, and I'm telling you, that thing, you'll start that presentation, and as soon as you open it and you select the template, or you do the headline, the first slide, you'll want to do the rest. That's what I've found. So that's a cool thing that you can do. So start your day with like a solid plan. Write down your top three priorities for the day. Maximum of 5 if you want to get to 5, but 3 is a good number. And you can write down like your 10 things on a piece of paper and do what Warren Buffett does. He writes everything that he thinks he needs to do that day, and then he circles the top 3 things, and then he throws away the rest of the list. And he says that it has helped him focus, because you find that when you write this to-do list that has like 10 things that you need to do, it sits in the back of your mind that you've got so much. It's very overwhelming. But when you sit and prioritize, you discover that some of the other things that you had written were actually not that important. But if they are, you can do them after you do the top 3 things. So that's how you can plan your day. Second thing that helps to prevent us multitask, because we live in a day and age of mobile phones and devices that are connected to the internet all the time, is turn off your notifications. I am telling you, you will notice peace. You do not know peace until you have your phone not buzzing every 15 minutes. It is such a peaceful existence. Like, there's something that happens which is really hard for me to describe until you've experienced it. Even if it means turning off notifications just on one day in the week, just pick Sunday and just say, Sunday I'll have no notifications, or Sunday I'll have a no phone day. And I'll just spend it with the people I had made plans with before, or with my family, and I'll be fully present for them. You will not believe how clear your mind becomes. Because there's something about those buzzes and those notifications and all that dopamine you're getting, the hits, ding, ding, ding. There's a possibility of something nice. Then you look at it and it's a message from the bank, and you're like, happy holiday or something, and you're like, oh, okay. Then ding, then you check and you're like, ooh, I got a new like on Instagram, cool, a new follower on something, cool. Like, this is so, it produces dopamine, and I think that is part of the reason why sometimes we get so overwhelmed without knowing, is we're getting all this dopamine coming to us all the time, and your brain becomes foggy when you're not getting it. So when you don't have notifications on and your phone is off or whatever, you'll notice that at first it will be very unnerving. You'll have to like struggle a bit, because you'll start feeling like FOMO. You'll be checking your phone all the time. You'll be like, I might have missed something. The world could have ended. there could be a world war. Like no. That's just your brain saying, hey, we used to get dopamine at this time. This was the time we used to scroll TikTok. What are you doing? We need our hit. Like, hey, check your phone. And these social media platforms are actually set up to do that to you. If you haven't watched, there's a documentary, I forget it now, but it's on the world of social media and how these platforms are set up to make you addicted and to get you on them. And that's why they do these notifications like, oh, so-and-so commented on a post. You want to see it? And you're thinking, yeah, what post? And then you see the post they commented on and it's not that important. But guess what you've done? You're now back on the app. So now they'll put something for you to get you and keep you there. So now you, as you're scrolling, because you can't just check that and then close. So now you check that and then you scroll, because now you're looking for something interesting. And then you see something and then you click and then you're down this rabbit hole. You know, like you're just going further and further in. And the next thing you know, it's been an hour of your life that you cannot get back. That you've been scrolling and checking out other things and things that are not going to help you. So you've become a part of someone else's plan. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Try it. See how your life will get better. I promise you. Like I am telling you, you will be amazed at how calm your mind will be, at how clear your thinking will be, at how you'll start to see things differently. Like even my patience for people, sometimes it works because you can now see things for what they are. You stop being so self-centered and you now start spending more time observing what's around you, appreciating what's around you. You know, like cheap thrills, I'm telling you, that's what I call them. Because now with my mind so calm, I can really appreciate crisp air. I can appreciate birds. I can appreciate the smell of grass. I can appreciate like things. I can appreciate even my clients. Like I can appreciate them more. I'm there for them even more because I'm present. When I have a call with one of my clients or when I'm having a session with one of my clients, let me tell you, I am not, and they even know, I am not doing anything else. I am listening. I am watching. I am asking questions. I am noticing things and I'm like, wait, you seem hesitant about that because I saw the frown in the middle of, their forehead, or I saw something which I am paying attention to. Because a conversation in communication is not just verbal. It's everything. It's your hands. Look at my hands. That's part of communication. It's your body language, your features, like little things that move in your face. It's the tone that you talk about things. You can't say, oh, I'm really excited about this, I'm really looking forward to it. Somebody who is paying attention to you will go like, hold up, something's wrong. Like, are you sure you're excited? What is it that you're hesitant about? Because they're paying attention. Anybody else would go like, okay, yeah, oh, okay. And that's what ends up happening when we are constantly now thinking, let me get back to my phone and check that picture that I posted and whether anybody has reacted. Because you're not even really there. But when you just take the time, like switch off your notifications, even just for one day, put off your phone, even just for 1 hour, like put it on airplane mode, even just for 1 hour, and enjoy the peace and breathe through the panic that comes from thinking, oh my God, could there be, what am I missing? The FOMO, oh gosh, could this have been announced yet? Could this be happening yet? Could they have made a decision on this? Is it affecting your life? Is there anything you could do once you know that thing? Like now you know it, now it's happened, okay, and now what? Right? So yeah, do those things. I plan your day the day before. Again, top 3 priorities. max 5. If you have a longer list than that, just write them all down and prioritize, because some of them are actually no priorities. I mean, one of the things that I like to use as that I like to tell myself sometimes is, if I died tomorrow, would this thing matter whether I did it today? Like, if I didn't know that, you know, if I had the if I was told that today is my last day, is this thing that important that I need to get done? Okay, what is important? What's the most important thing? Okay, since we never know when we're gonna die, then you really should live each day thinking and planning, not what you have to do, like, oh, you know, I have to do this thing, or I have to do this thing, but thinking along the lines of, what is important for my life? What's my priority? What's my purpose? What plugs into my purpose that I need to get done today? What's pending? And then you do that thing first. Because if you do all those other things, oh, I have to do this thing, oh, I have to call so and so, oh, I have to reply to that email. How important is it in your priorities and your purpose? And can it wait? If it can wait until tomorrow, focus on what you need to get done today, your purpose, and then set aside time to do some of those administrative that are necessary tasks. You know, you can't just leave your emails unread forever, but there are those administrative tasks, like you have to file your taxes, or you have to do your thing. You have to do some of these things that you don't want to do, that would not be great if you died tomorrow. They're not on your list, but then they are necessary, because if you don't do them, they'll cause havoc later. Set aside time, block like an hour when now you get to do those tasks, or if you can, delegate those tasks to somebody else. Find a contractor on Upwork. I use Upwork a lot, and I find contractors that I can use to do some of the things that I would rather not be doing, and I can get them from any country. Like, I have a Filipino who does some stuff for me, I have some Kenyans who do some stuff for me, so it depends on the task and the expertise and the budget, but you can get somebody pretty affordably to do some of those tasks for you. So yeah, that's how you can free your time to focus on your purpose, the main thing that you're supposed to do, the thing that really does add value to what it is that you're supposed to deliver in this world. So that's my message for you. Thank you for staying, and I will see you in the next video, I guess, which I'll put up on your screen in a second. Have an awesome day. Ciao.